morning, good morning. It's Carol Chamberlain in for the lovely Leza Dandos on the News 103.5 KYCA. Good morning to both Drew and Matt. It's so good to see you all.
Hey, Drew got to go first this time.
I did. I
Yeah,
was
there's
looking.
a first time for everything, I guess.
Yeah.
I was looking straight at him. Thank you very much.
I tried to fix the curtain, but you said no, I can't see him. Well,
You fixed the curtain
Thanks,
very well.
Matt.
I'm going to start off this morning on a sad note, which I hate to do on this lovely, exciting day in Prescott, Arizona. But we have lost Dave Moran, the former Bradshaw Mountain High School player and head football coach who is now the defensive coordinator for the Northern Arizona Wranglers, who died on Monday. What a sad loss for our community.
Absolutely.
This young man was 47 years old, barely reaching the prime of his life, in my opinion, and doing such a good job for our community. One of the things that I found out is that his grandfather was a coach. His father was a coach. He was a coach. It's like a family loss for our community, and I'm just so sad to hear that.
yeah, definitely not empire. What am I?
Well, actually, you could
Dynasty of
it
family
was
coaching. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. There we go.
a coaching dynasty.
Yeah.
And I'm sure John could tell us a lot more about him, because I understand from Matt that our own sportscaster knew him very well.
Oh yeah, Johnny Wet Metal. He knows everybody.
Yeah. if it's got athletics in it, John's on it.
I hear that is actually the case, so I'll leave that to him to do a better job than I. But I just wanted to say, when I had read about it on Facebook, actually, that he had had a massive heart attack, and that people jumped in very quickly to try to make it better, and he just lost that battle. So sorry to hear that.
Especially at such a young age.
Oh my gosh, 47. I mean, think about the life ahead of him that he won't get to experience. So sad.
Very tragic.
Sorry for his family, that's for sure.
Oh, that is so true. And for the Wranglers, how terrible is that? But I'm going to move on and say that we need to be sure and tune in this week for special programming on KYCA. This afternoon at 4, join us for a special edition of the KYCA PM show, as we'll feature a reading of the Declaration of Independence and other programming in honor of Independence Day tomorrow. That's really cool. I love that. And also, KYCA will have live broadcast and streaming coverage of the Prescott Frontier Days Rodeo Parade on Saturday morning at 9, which you can hear on 1490 AM and 103.5 FM, and watch on kyca.info and on our Facebook page. So you'll get to hear it, you'll get to see it, you'll get to be it. KYCA will also present live streaming coverage of the Frontier Days Cowboy Church service Sunday morning beginning at 9 o'clock. Again, on our website at kyca.info and on our Facebook page as well. So KYCA is doing a good job of covering our Independence Day. I think that's fabulous.
We do a good job. Marty will be announcing the parade. So we're going to have a lot of good commentary. And not only that, 150 plus floats and for the parade. So it's going to be a doozy.
So I do have a question. Why are the fireworks on actual Independence Day and the parade on Saturday? I've never seen that separation before. Have you?
Oh yeah, always. Yeah, the parade's always on Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, the parade's always on Saturday. And 4th of July, it falls where it falls, you know.
See, I learned something new every day. I thought
Good job, Matt.
You're welcome.
Very good job. I thought the parade was on the day if it could be.
Typically, it's on Saturdays. Yeah, typically.
Okay.
Probably
Yep.
for business reasons. Think about how many people are coming up. It's July. It's really hot in the valley. You have them come up for the weekend, see the parade, spend. I think that's probably why they're doing it.
Well, what sense that does that make? Because it is a great revenue generator for our cities through sales tax and all of that. So, well, it's a good idea, Prescott.
Yeah, and it's just kind of how they've always done it, as long as I've been here. The parade, and then you have the boot race, and then you have the daytime performance of the rodeo, and then you have the nighttime performance of the rodeo. That's all just Saturday, and so they want to schedule it. People can hit all of them up if they want.
Okay. So,
So confusing, I know.
well, it's a little bit confusing. And I'm sitting there as you're talking about the daytime parade and the daytime frontier rodeo.
Yeah.
I just have to ask what the weather's going to be like because, truthfully, I heard yesterday on the news that there's a heat wave in Phoenix. It's going to be 113 and above. Oh, please tell me that somehow or another we escaped that sort of dilemma.
Well, we're not going to be at 113. That's for sure. That's the good news. Okay. But we will be today we'll have a high of 96 and a low of 65, and we'll have some 15 to 20 mile an hour winds, and that'll continue through the evening. Tomorrow, we're going to be pushing 100 degrees. So, for 4th of July, 100, and then for Saturday, the same thing. Now, give or take a couple degrees, but it's not 113 or 121 like it was down, I want to say it was Casa Grande was like 121 degrees, I heard.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
But 100 in Prescott on the 4th of July? I can't imagine.
Well, I've not seen a 100-degree day since I've lived here. I've seen 99, but not 100. So I'm hoping I can continue that.
I am just sitting here mourning my Japanese maple that Ken and I have been nursing back to health. I looked at it yesterday and thought, you look like Charlie Brown's Christmas tree. And it was this lush and beautiful thing. And I'm sure because of our weather, hopefully it's not something I did to it.
No.
Oh,
Lot of sunshine and water. Things will be fine.
I hope
Yeah.
so, but it seems like we're going to have to wait till next year to see that puppy grow. Anyway, enough about my tree. So there are a couple of 4th of July things, and I don't understand this. There's a hot dog contest weigh-in. The official weigh-in ceremony for Nathan's annual 4th of July hot dog eating contest. You have to step on a scale before you eat the hot dogs?
Yeah.
That's how they determine whether you win, how much weight you gain?
No, you have that so they can see the difference of how much food you've actually consumed. If you've never been to a Nathan's hot dog contest, it's like nothing you've ever seen. And Joey Chestnut, how do you eat 70 hot dogs, 70 buns? I don't know, but it's amazing.
And how fast do they do that?
Within an hour.
Oh, see, I've been to Coney Island once, and I did have a Nathan's hot dog. Unfortunately, it was closed, so all the rides were down. I really wanted to ride those rides. And I have to tell you that Nathan's hot dog stand was sort of a disappointment. But anyway, I didn't know about the weigh-in, and I just saw that Joey Chestnut's been banned from the competition. Now, apparently Drew knew that already because he
Yes.
just automatically knew the name of Joey Chestnut.
I'm 95% sure that Drew is secretly a competitive eater, and he just doesn't tell us.
I wish.
He's like, no, I'm out riding my motorcycle somewhere. No, he's competing in a hot dog eating contest is what I'm thinking.
No, I think if I was going to do that, I'd probably do ribs. But,
Ribs.
Anyway,
Oh, we could maybe have a rib contest. But do you know why he's banned?
yes,
Why?
because he took he signed a contract with a non-meat company. So they're going to have like the Impossible hot dogs.
Uh-huh.
And they said, well, if you're going to do that, we're not letting you do it.
I have
You
to
have to eat a hot dog, not a plant-based hot dog.
I'm the same way with a hamburger. If you're going to eat a hamburger, eat a hamburger.
Yeah.
And if you want something non-hamburger, you have a black bean burger. Well, it's a good sandwich. It's a good sandwich.
It's okay.
I'm hoping that Joey made a bucket of money on that.
Yes, he did.
Do you have any idea how much?
It was an undisclosed amount, but there was a number with 6 zeros behind it, so you figure it out.
Oh, Maybe I'd assign that myself now that you think about it, because I don't think there was probably a lot of money involved in the hot dog eating contest.
Well, there's a lot of people that do that, this competitive eating thing that they have. And, there's a lot of shows, man versus food. There's a lot of people into it.
Well, okay. Okay.
I'm sorry.
So every year we know that there are wild scenes of people having Roman candle fights play out across the United States. I guess I didn't know there were fights with them, like you point them at each other and shoot.
I cannot confirm or deny that I was ever involved in that, but I can tell you it was a lot of fun.
Oh my God!
Matt, have you done Roman candle fighting?
No, I grew up in Arizona, man. I wasn't allowed to have fireworks.
You weren't?
No, we didn't have fireworks in the state of Arizona forever.
You've
Really?
never held a sparkler?
Oh no, I've gotten my fair share of illegal fireworks when I was growing up, but I didn't shoot each other with Roman candles. That was a little across the lines. Just having them and letting people know where we're at was enough of getting in trouble.
Boy,
Well,
did I have a great childhood.
Oh.
That's all I can tell you.
actually, we all certainly did do that. The firecracker, is designed to be launched straight into the air. I guess I'm now finding out that not everybody does it that way. Social media is filled with videos of people fighting each other. Kansas homeowner Candy Wakefield said kids were caught doing it around her neighborhood, landed on her roof, and burned down her house. Ouch. That's
Yeah.
all I can say is ouch. Although she escaped, the house where she lived was destroyed. So the Connecticut Fire Marshal shares the safest way to set these sparklers off is from a sand-filled bucket. So let's not try to shoot our arms off.
Yeah, that's probably good advice. Yeah, I mean, I have fireworks stories from when I was in New Mexico, but
Well, tell us what.
oh, I'll keep it quick. But my one neighbor lit my other neighbor's house on fire during 4th of July, and my nephews were visiting, and they were very young, and they freaked out and were losing their minds. And I was working for the newspaper, and I was not supposed to be working because it's the holiday, so it's time and a half. And I'm trying to figure out, do I grab the hose or do I grab my camera? And I
Which
called.
one?
Yeah, so I grabbed the hose first, then I grabbed the camera, and I called the fire department at the same time. And then the fire department shows up, and they're like, "How did you beat us here?" And I'm like, "I'm the one that called you. That's my house."
Well, that's pretty quick and a really good thing to do. That's great. That's
Yeah,
a
it
good
was
story.
it was interesting, and I don't know what the end of it was because I moved here to Prescott, but I heard the one neighbor sued the other neighbor, but I don't know. I can't confirm that. So
Don't you know that? Oh my gosh, that's the fire chief's roof. You're saying? Or-
no, it wasn't the fire chief. No, it was just my one neighbor lighting my other neighbors, but it was a juniper bush.
Oh yeah.
They shot one of those aerials, the big, aerials you drop in a tube, and one of the neighbors kicked it over, and it went across the ground and hit that juniper bush, and it was incredible how quick that thing caught.
That's what you call a burning bush.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I have heard about a burning bush before. So we're going to wrap this up pretty soon, but I just have to say, it was 46 years ago that the Supreme Court ruled 5-4 that the Federal Communications Commission was within its right to reprimand a New York radio station, WBAI, for airing George Carlin's comedy routine, 7 Words You Cannot Say on television. It didn't say radio, it said television. So, how much have we changed in 46 years? You know what they're saying on radio and television these days?
I think it depends on if it's cable or streaming service or through the air, but I think they still have restrictions on what you can and cannot say.
Don't you want to know what those 7 words were so we can say them right now?
I know what they are, but
I know.
mean,
Matt knows them.
I don't know them.
they're the only words I use.
Where's Jason?
Yeah, that's half of our vocabulary.
Where's Jason? Oh, never mind. Okay, so we are
You're
going
gonna get us in trouble, Carol.
Oh, here I am. I tend to do that when I'm around, and I'm happy to be around. But we're going to take a moment and hear from our sponsors. Be right back. Leza live on the news 103.5 KYCA. I am just delighted to introduce our guest this morning, Angela Walker Weber, an estate planning attorney who I met when she was on our board at the Arizona Community Foundation of Yavapai County. So not only is she a fabulous attorney, she's also a very community-minded person. Welcome, Angela.
Thank you. Good morning. It's good to be here.
Well, again, thanks for, well, I would say getting up with us this morning, but you're probably up way before this because I think you have 2 kids.
I do. An 8-year-old and a 5-year-old.
Oh,
so the 8-year-old I had to get up and get to camp this morning. So yeah, she's at the Highland Center camp. So they did put on a lovely camp for kids during the summer.
Oh, that is a really great thing. And
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, in the very beginning of her life, she was at the Family Enrichment Center at Yavapai College.
Yes. She graduated from there when she was 5. And now my son, Jack, who is 5, is there. So they've both been there since their first year. And Jack will graduate soon and he'll move on to kindergarten.
I think this is really funny because I used to say to Angela, oh my gosh, your daughter's going to be leaving for college. Well, she's already been to college.
Yes, she has.
I like that a lot. So I want our listeners to learn more about Angela Walker Weber. So where were you born, raised?
Oh, well, I was born in Springfield, Missouri, but I was raised in Omaha, Nebraska. So
Those are those close? I'm
about
terrible in
no,
geography.
about a
6
6-hour drive.
hour. Well,
Yeah.
so
So all my family was still in Springfield, and so I'd go back every couple of months or something to see the family, and we do our mushroom hunting in the spring, so that was always nice. I miss that.
mushroom hunting. Oh my gosh. Ever find and cook a poisonous one?
No, we only hunted for morels,
Oh,
so they're hard to get here in Arizona. So
wow.
yeah, because they require a lot of moisture, and that's why April was always kind of the good season for
Well,
that.
not only a good season, but if they require a lot of moisture, no wonder they're not in Arizona.
Yeah.
After a storm, however, I have seen a couple of things pop up on our lawn. But anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so you went to grade school where?
Oh, in Omaha. So, yeah, I started kindergarten in Omaha and graduated. high school. So I was raised there. I went to school a couple different places, but ended up graduating from undergrad at College of St. Mary in Omaha. And then I got my MBA from Creighton, which is also in Omaha. And I got my JD from Creighton, also in Omaha.
Oh my gosh. So that's the Midwest, isn't it? So
It
you're
is.
a Midwest born and educated woman.
Yes.
So how long between you went to graduate school and then you got a JD? Is that right? Is that what you said?
Yes. So I graduated from College of St. Mary with undergrad in business administration with an emphasis in human resources.
Oh.
So that's what I started out as doing. I was a human resource consultant.
Oh.
And all the people I worked with, they had advanced degrees. And so I went and got my MBA. But my focus in human resource consulting was mostly compensation plans and affirmative action plans, those kind of things. And so I really wanted to beef up my practice. So then I went and got a JD, thinking that that's what I was going to do. But life had other plans. And so when I graduated from law school, I got a clerkship with a judge down in Phoenix.
Oh.
And my dad had moved to Prescott in '99, and he was practicing law, doing estate planning. And he said, "Come join me. I'm busy. I've got lots of work to do." And I was like, well, working with family.
Actually, so I know Chuck Walker very
Yes.
well. He is a wonderful, wonderful fella, and not a bad person to work with, I would think. But
No,
as
fabulous.
his daughter, how did that work? How does that work out?
Well, I'm very blessed. He was just great to work with. And he asked, I said, "Are you sure we want to work together? Because it could change family dynamics."
Oh yes.
And he was like, no, it'll be great. He's like, "Just commit for 2 years." And that was 21 years ago.
So you made it through those 2 years.
Oh, yeah. And one of the things that I wanted one of the opportunities I thought is, as a child, you don't, even as an adult child, you don't necessarily know what your family does in the business environment. And I've been very blessed to have people that I work with, or that I have worked, bosses, or have people that I have worked with who have always been kind of teachers, and that they wanted to show you kind of things. And I knew my dad was very successful, but I didn't know all of the ins and outs and that kind of thing. And so I thought, oh, okay, I'm just going to take what I can learn from him for these 2 years, and then I'm going to go off on my own. And that just never happened, because I just never saw anything better. So,
That's wonderful to
Yeah.
hear. That's wonderful to hear. And not only did he teach you, I'm guessing, about law and the practice of estate planning, but he also taught you about community involvement, because he certainly is that himself.
yes, and that's one of the things. So when I was in consulting, so he and I were both professionals living in Omaha, and one of my colleagues said to me one morning, she said, "Oh, hey, I saw your dad last night." And I was like, "Oh, where'd you see him?" And she was like, "At the Red Cross fundraiser." And I was like, "Oh," and she's like, "He's on the board." And I was like, "He is?"
Oh my goodness.
So it was those kind of things that I was like, okay, I never really, knew these things that he was doing. And then, and you learn, you always have that kind of, I'm interested in community. I'm interested in, we take care of our own kind of thing, and giving back. And so working with him, I was really able to learn that. And I've participated in a lot of boards here in town. And
Yes, you have. You
been
were on
blessed.
ours.
So yeah.
That's wonderful. So I just have to ask, when you were in the 8th grade,
Yeah.
what did you think you wanted to be then? Besides a rock star.
I thought I would never. Well, no, I can't carry a tune. I don't know. I did not think I wanted to work behind a desk. That was one of the things that I didn't think. I didn't think I had. I just thought that was just so boring.
So if not behind a desk, what did that mean to you? Like an outdoor person, or?
No. Sorry. No, just something that was more. So I'll tell you, in high school, I was very distinct in that I wanted to run a kids ranch for troubled inner city kids, like in Montana. And I started out with, I was going to school to get a psychology degree, and I wanted to do this ranch. And I thought, geez, if I could take inner city kids, give them, hard work, good values, those kind of things, that they could come out of whatever kind of cycle they were in of downward spirals. And then I got to college, and I was like, you really don't know anything about ranching.
And it takes a lot of money to have a camp start up. You know what I mean? So,
yes.
Well, so I can appreciate how life changes in
Yes.
cycles. So
Yes.
in this particular phase of your life, you're an estate planning attorney.
Mhm.
We'll talk when we come back about what that means.
Okay.
And we'll be right back after this.
Great.
Live on the News 103.5 KYCA, having a lovely conversation with our guest, Angela Walker Weber. But before we go any further, I have to tell you that you need to call in if you'd like to, if you'd like some free advice from a lawyer. Which of us can't use that? The number's 928-541-1016. We'd love to hear from you, and Angela can answer it. So I have a question for you, Angela.
Yes.
I understand that only about 40% of the people in our country have a will.
Correct.
Why?
Well, because you don't like thinking about it.
Thinking about,
About dying. What's going to happen when I die? What's going to happen when I'm not there to do the things that I'm doing? What's going to happen when my loved ones don't have me to take care of this, or to provide support or what have you? And so it's not, it's just not, it's not a fun conversation.
it's not a fun conversation, but from when I was with the Arizona Community Foundation of Yavapai County, and people would remember the community in their estate plan, they would come to me afterwards and say what a wonderful and lighter feeling they got when they actually did this planning. Do you experience that?
Yes, yes. And it's, once you have your estate plan done and you kind of put it on the shelf and you don't worry about it for a while. I mean, you need to review your estate plan every like 3 to 5 years. But once you have that done, then it's kind of like, well, I've checked this off my list. I've taken care of this. And statistically, people who have their estate plan in place tend to live longer.
Oh,
I mean, don't see me instead of your doctor, but it's, it's kind of the same thing with people who wear seatbelts live longer, and not because, they're more likely to get in accidents or less likely to get in accidents. It's just that people who take care of things and get things taken care of, they just tend to live longer.
I think that's a really amazing thing to hear, because I used to say, and I had always heard, there was a thing called a gift annuity at the foundation, which means that, somebody gives money to the foundation and gets an annual
Payments.
income from that.
Right.
And then the foundation receives the benefit when they die.
Right.
And doing that instrument added 10 years to their lives.
Right.
So
Right.
I guess statistically that's the case.
Yeah.
So there's some terms that I want to make sure we understand. What's
Sure.
probate?
Probate is really just court supervision of the transfer of the assets. So when you have significant assets and there's no beneficiary designation on it, the court wants to make sure that it goes to the correct beneficiary, be it through a will or a trust, which says who the beneficiaries are, or if you don't have a will, the state of Arizona has one for you. Yeah. And those people may not be the people that you want to receive that asset. So, sometimes I'll be in with people and they'll say, well, who are my heirs at law? And I'll be, oh, it's your spouse and your children and that type of thing. But then they're like, okay, but what if we're all gone? Or what if I don't have a spouse and children? And I'm like, well, then, we go back to your parents, and then if you're an only child, or your nieces and your nephews, and like, oh, I don't like them at all, And so it's not always. I mean, fundamentally, we think, oh, our family members are going to be our heirs, but that's not always the case. That we want that, right?
It's true, because sometimes you like to leave just a little bit of something to somebody in your life who meant a great deal to you, even if they're not related by blood.
Absolutely.
Or by marriage or any of that.
Right.
So some people have a will and some people have a trust.
Mm-hmm.
Why? What's the difference in who should have what?
Well, it's, so you get some differing theories from attorneys don't always agree on everything that we should do.
Oh,
but
no, you're kidding.
Yeah. So, and I hear a lot of times, so people will come in and say, well, somebody said I should have this, or my neighbor said I need to have this, that I need to have a trust. And if I own a house, I need to have a trust. And trusts are fundamentally, they're just much easier for the logistics if you're incapacitated. If if I go to a financial institution with a trust, I'm in there and out of there, not necessarily quicker, but I've received the assets quicker if it is a trust versus a will. But wills are great too. So if you just have one beneficiary and everything's going to that beneficiary and you use beneficiary designations, I don't worry about fighting. I don't worry about arguments, because it's all going to that person, and that person is going to take care of all the debts. And there's not going to be, disagreements on how much somebody spent on a funeral or something like that.
Okay. So does a trust go through probate?
the trust doesn't necessarily go through probate. The will goes through probate if you have not funded the trust. So some people say, oh, I have a trust, I'm not going to go through probate. That's not necessarily true. So you have to have, the assets need to be owned by the trust, or there needs to be beneficiary designations on everything. So one time I did have somebody who had a trust. All the assets were in the trust except for one car. I don't drive a fancy car. For me, that would be easy peasy, 30 days, an affidavit, we're good. But in this case, it was a Barrett Jackson car.
Oh.
Right? So it was a $160,000 car. So, yeah, so we had to open probate for that. So it is about, you can have the trust, but you do need to make sure that things are funded properly. And those things change occasionally with IRAs. They have different guidelines. A trust cannot own an IRA. So in the beneficiary designations, with the change in the law from 2020, the Secure Act, they changed that now non-spousal beneficiaries can only stretch money out for 10 years.
Oh my gosh. We have so much to
Sorry.
learn this morning. We
More
have
detail
so
than you
much to
asked
learn,
for.
but we have to take a break. We'll be right back. Again, it's Carol Chamberlain sitting in for the lovely Leza Dandos on the News 103.5 KYCA with our guest, Angela Walker Weber, estate planning attorney extraordinaire. I'm going to give this number one more time, 928-541-1016, in case you'd like some free advice. So we're talking about a trust, and you just shocked the heck out of me a minute ago because I've heard of something called a pour-over will,
Yes.
which I thought was a part of a trust.
Yes. So when you have a trust, you also have a will, and the will I like to, the way I set up, I like to use it as kind of for the oopsie daisies. So like that car
I love that.
that was
Oopsie-daisy. I
not,
love that.
yeah. So it wasn't titled in the trust. It wasn't titled, didn't have a beneficiary designation, which you can do through ADOT. You can put beneficiaries on your vehicles. And trusts actually, specifically for vehicles, I am told, if you finance your vehicle, it can't be in the trust name. The finance company won't allow it. So you have to have it in your own name. So then that's when you do a beneficiary designation, right? If you pay cash for the car, you're fine. You can put it in the trust. But So the pour over will says, hey, if I have anything that's in just my name, not jointly owned with somebody who survived me, but just my name with no beneficiary designation on it, the pour over will says put it into the trust, pour it over into the trust. Well, in order to do that, you have to have some kind of probate process. So if it's under a certain dollar amount, meaning if there's like 3 assets, all 3 of those together are worth less than $75,000 is what it is for personal property, then you can do it with an affidavit. Otherwise, you have to actually open probate and transfer that into the trust name. And then the trustee can manage it as they see, as the terms of the trust say.
So that begs the question.
Mm-hmm.
You really do need to either have a designation on everything that you own, like your checking account. I know a lot of people don't want to put a checking account in a trust because they don't want to have to go the trustee name and all that stuff when you're writing a check. So what do you do with larger checking accounts or bank accounts that aren't in the trust already?
So most of the time, I recommend everybody put their bank accounts into the trust. Now, when we're talking about what you get printed on the checks, you don't have to put the trust name on it. You just put, like I would put my name and my husband's name. It doesn't have to say the trust, because you're correct. When people see, hey, you have a trust, they think, cha-ching, cha-ching, you got a lot of money. And you're like, there's only $2,000 in my trust, right? But they think, oh, this person's loaded. So we recommend you don't have to change your checks as long as it's got the signer's name on it. Whoever the trustees are, they can sign the check. It's just a matter of which financial institution you have and what their requirements are. So if you come in and you create a new trust and you have a checking account, the bank may not let you keep that account and change it to the trust name. So in that case, I just say, okay, we'll keep it just the way it is and put the trust as the beneficiary.
Oh, gotcha.
But then all the other accounts should be in the trust name so that the successor trustee to you has access to those accounts and those funds.
So that means that your stock accounts need to be in the trust, named in the trust.
Yes, with the exception of IRAs, because IRAs can't legally be in the name of the trust.
Why?
It's because the trust does not have a life expectancy.
Oh.
So trusts in the state of Arizona can only last for 500 years.
Oh, that's a long time.
I know, that's our rule against perpetuities. So it's only 500 years, which I think is funny because our state's just a little over 100 years old. But I have had one person ask me, "Can you extend that?" I said, "No."
But is that because of they're planning on having grandchildren and grandchildren's grandchildren, and why would somebody care?
Well, think about the Rockefellers. So they have all this money in, and I'm using the Rockefellers as kind of just an example. I don't know their specifics, but they have a ton of money, and then the kids just live on the income, and then the grandkids live on the income, and there's enough dividends for them to live on just the income, and there's still a huge amount of principal that continues to grow, and so they don't want a never-ending insight.
Well, that actually makes sense. I mean, I can certainly appreciate why the government wants to get their hands on those pies.
Yes.
So, if some people set up a trust,
Yes.
and then they think they're done, they
Yes.
think it's all taken care of. But if there's not everything in that trust, it's not a trust because you have to fund it. Is that right?
Yes. Well, I mean, it is still a trust. So, for example, I have 3 trusts, but I really only use one. So, but the other ones I have are set up, and they just sit on the shelf, and I can use them when I want to.
What are they for?
One's for separate property. One's for I created it before I got married, and I just never, and I didn't want the name of it to be, once I got married, I wanted it to be my husband and mine's trust. And,
Sure.
Yeah. So.
Sure. And once your trust is named, nobody else can have that name?
It's not, no, because there's probably, when I go onto the recorder's webpage, and I'm looking up names, there's probably 10 Smith family trusts.
Makes sense.
Yeah. The date they sign it, though, is an identifier. And then the other thing is that if I create my trust, be it the Smith Trust today, and then I go and I restate it 10 years from now, I don't want to have to change everything. So I did the funding. I created the Smith Trust. I put my my house in it. I put all my accounts in it, and I did, I put beneficiaries on my life insurance policies, all of these things to the trust. And then 10 years later, I'm going to restate the trust. I don't want to have to go through refunding it again by changing the name.
Oh, I gotcha.
So,
That
just-
makes sense.
yeah.
And so, is the trustee on all three of your trusts the same trustee?
Yes.
Look how much I'm learning about Angela Walker Weber. Okay, so, one of the things that was really, really important to me was talking about how to remember community without forgetting your family. So I'm going to ask you to think about that for a moment while we
Sure.
take our last break, and then
Okay.
we'll come back and talk about that.
Great.
Be right back. Again, it's Carol Chamberlain sitting in for Leza live on 103.5 KYCA, talking with Angela Walker Weber. And I believe you have a call and a question. Chris, are you there?
I am here.
And you have a question for Angela?
Actually, I have two questions if there's enough time.
Okay.
Good morning, ladies, by the way.
Thank you.
First question is, I have a California will and trust.
Yes.
Are they valid throughout the states, or does one have to be amended here in Arizona?
No, all of the states will honor your will if it was properly created in California. However, I do recommend that you update your powers of attorney, especially healthcare, because healthcare varies so much from state to state. And so, and when you need a healthcare power of attorney, it's time sensitive, and you don't want people arguing over legalities. So, but
Of
no,
course.
if you pass away in Arizona as an Arizona resident, they will honor your California documents.
Okay, and thank you for that. The question number two is, investments. My investments vary. I invest in this and that, CDs, etc. Do all of those have to be listed like on an amendment to put it into the trust? Or how does that work?
No. So a lot of times people have like a ledger kind of in the back of the of the trust that has a listing of all assets. And there's a misconception there that people think if I put my account with Chase on there, I write that account number in, well, now it's in the trust. And really that's only evidentiary. It's not an actual, so Chase is not going to honor that you have that listed in the back of your document. So as long as Chase shows that the trust owns the asset, then they're going to follow that.
So the account would have to be listed in the name of the trust.
Yes, or if that causes complications for you, like if you have a great rate, or if you have something, some kind of thing that you're grandfathered into, don't close that account and lose those benefits. Try to put a beneficiary designation on it. So like if you have a CD that doesn't mature for 10 years, don't transfer that CD out into the name of the trust. Just put a beneficiary designation, and that's going to help to avoid the probate process and allow your trustee to manage it if you become incapacitated or pass away. Or I'm sorry, not if you're beneficiary is not if you're incapacitated, but when you pass away, it'll allow them to manage it.
And I mean, as far as having an executor, administrator, do you do that type of thing?
Our office does sometimes, yes, but there's also licensed fiduciaries in town that you can meet with and see that they do. That's what they do primarily on a daily basis. So
you would suggest a fiduciary?
I would, just because they're going to be. That's all they do. So.
Yeah.
And we do have some great ones. Yes. So thank you so much for your call, Chris. We appreciate it and hope you got your question answered. And we really would like to talk just a little bit, because I know we don't have much time left, about how to remember the community without forgetting your family.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, your turn.
Yes. So, remembering your community. So, there's, serving on the board of many charities, 501c3s, and then being on the other end of it, looking at and seeing, when my clients come in and they are talking to me about their estates and whether or not they're charitably minded, a lot of people, they want to leave their money to their children, and they're concerned of, well, what if I get a long-term illness and I don't have enough money left? And so sometimes their charitable intent isn't reflected in their end of life. Right. It's just like, well, I give this charity X amount of dollars every year, that type of thing. But they don't mirror that in their estate. And I think that's difficult, because then again, like I said, I didn't even know my dad was on the board of the, Red Cross.
Exactly.
And so if I'm not telling my children that I am charitably minded, that I've given during my lifetime and I'm going to give on my passing, how are they going to know that? How are they going to know that that's, how do I say this? That's our values. That's what we do.
Right.
We give back. We have benefits. I know one gentleman who, like, the YMCA changed his life, and so that was one of his beneficiaries. Same thing with like Boys and Girls Clubs. Other things are, just, that these are things that just make your community so much better. And to show that to your children, and to show that to just your beneficiaries, that this is an organization that I value, or it's important for me to give back.
I really do think you brought up a great point there, in that it's also a way to teach your children about giving and about philanthropy and about the importance of community. Because if you don't see it in your day-to-day life, like you didn't see it with your dad because he was teaching you so many other things, you at least would have gotten to see it through his estate plan.
Right. That's important to them. Investing in your community, I just think, is so important.
So do I. And there are so many ways to do it.
Yes.
I would really, really suggest that people talk with their estate planning attorney about how you do remember community without forgetting your family, because there are a lot of ways, way too many for us to explain right now. I feel so bad that we ran out of time for our caller, Jean. I'm sorry. We'll have Angela back another time. It has been great talking with you. So is there any last minute thing you'd like to tell us? I think our music is here. So happy 4th of July to everybody. We'll have Angela back. Have a safe one, and don't shoot those firecrackers at one another. Bye now.